with fiction, with art, with writing, it's important that even if you're dealing with areas of complete outrageous fantasy, that there is an emotional resonance. It is important that a story ring true upon a human level, even if it never happened.
Yes, John. Good. Now it's just a question of reassembling the components in the correct sequence.
I feel fear for the last time. A token funeral is held. There is nothing to bury. Janie frames the snapshot. It's the only photograph of me anyone has. A circulatory system is seen by the perimeter fence. A few days later, a partially muscled skeleton stands in the hallway and screams for a moment before vanishing.
Is that you?
Nations around the world still reeling from this morning's announcement, possibly the most significant event in recent history. We repeat, the Superman exists, and he is American.
They call me Dr. Manhattan. They explain the name has been chosen for the ominous associations it will raise in America's enemies. The marketing boys say I need a logo. If I'm to have a symbol, it shall be one I respect. They are shaping me into something gaudy, something lethal. In January 1971, President Nixon asks me to intervene in Vietnam, something that his predecessors would not ask. A week later, the conflict ends. Some of the Viet Cong forces want to surrender to me personally. Hollis Mason, a retired costume hero, writes a book. In it, he calls my arrival the dawn of the superhero. I am not sure if I know what that means.
And the day came when man conceived of a materialistic, deterministic, reductionistic, objectively real clockwork universe made of space, time, energy and matter, governed by fixed and changing physical constants and laws. Microscopic particles that become atoms, that become molecules, that become macroscopic, perceivable, concrete, tangible stuff. Randomness and disorder that transforms into order, that transforms into patterns, that transform into self-organization. Simple chunks of inanimate matter that evolve into complex, organized chunks of animate matter that somehow evolve into self-aware, conscious chunks of matter that are able to think, feel, experience, share, create, communicate. Here we have an immense, expanding material universe that came out of a spaceless, timeless, infinitely dense point of energy that came out of nothingness. An incredibly simple universe evolving into an incredibly complex universe that does so by just following a few deterministic, immutable physical laws. A Goldilocks universe that is able to convert disorganized bits of dead matter into self-organized bits of living matter simply because the conditions happen to be just right. A universe that sprouts life and consciousness, intelligence and technology without any reason, purpose or goal. A universe that comes into existence, changes, evolves and ends up observing itself just because it was meant to do so. But the important question is, who are you in this universe? You are basically a rather insignificant collection of interacting particles in a vast, gigantic, purposeless, meaningless universe. A collection of particles that somehow inexplicably became self-aware, a collection of particles that became conscious, started to perceive, started to think, started to feel. These particles don't just exist, but strangely, they have acquired the ability to have an inner experience. As a collective, they appear to know, to feel, to experience what it is like to be you. However, in this universe, this differentiated you can only be the result of accidents coexisting within a landscape ultimately ruled by predetermined physical laws. In this clockwork universe, cause and effect rule the world. Causality is always linear and physical, self-contained within this space-time matter universe. Everything that exists must have a physical cause. It must be the result of a mechanistic physical process. The whole of your existence, hence, can be reduced to the interactions of tiny bits of physical matter governed by physical laws occurring inside this causally closed universe. Your entire life, your emotions, hopes, fears, ambitions, expectations, decisions, your imagination, intuition, creativity. All of these can ultimately be explained via lengthy, linear, bottom-up causal chains that are the result of material particles following specific physical laws. And these causal chains can ultimately be traced back to the very beginning of space-time, the moment of the Big Bang. Think about it for a moment. Your self-awareness, your intelligence, your thoughts, your choices and decisions, your entire conscious experience can only be produced by some piece of machinery following deterministic physical laws. Your consciousness must be just a complicated byproduct of material particles and their physical interactions. In fact, at the most basic level, your mind must be reducible to all these particle interactions occurring within your brain. Hence, what you call mind can be nothing but your brain, clearly defined, firmly located, permanently imprisoned within a limited region of space-time. Your mind and sense of self are therefore limited by the physical confines of the matter where they are located, the confines of the flesh which forms your brain, and the confines of the flesh which constitutes your body. Not only do your genetic makeup and the external environment in which you exist influence your actions and thoughts, but they uniquely determine who you are at the core. They determine how your life unfolds, what you do, what you feel, what you think, what you create, moment after moment after moment. You're a locked-up prisoner hopelessly looking at your own movie through the bars of your cell. You're a detached spectator watching a fateful story unfold, a story with a script which was written 13.8 billion years ago, a story in which you have no input, a story which you have never and will never be able to direct. You're a puppet on invisible strings, a passive observer living a meaningless, purposeless, pointless life inside a meaningless, purposeless, pointless universe.
I prefer the stillness here. I am tired of Earth, these people. I'm tired of being caught in the tangle of their lives. They claim their labors are to build a heaven, yet their heaven is populated with horrors. Perhaps the world is not made. Perhaps nothing is made. A clock without a craftsman. It's too late. Always has been. Always will be. Too late.
We don't live in a clockwork universe. And I think many people outside of physics believe that physics is all about understanding the machine, that the universe is a machine with laws and what happens is inevitable. Now that model of physics was disproven in the early 20th century. We know physics doesn't work, the world doesn't work as a machine. It's a quantum world, and that's a very abstract statement, and we're struggling to understand what it really means. We have been ever since the 1920s.